Good morning, everyone. Once again, this is Blackforexgroup coming to you with another market analysis video. This morning, we're going to be looking at the USDCAD. Okay. But before we get started to break down this Forex pair, we have to state that this video is for educational purposes only. This is not financial advice. Okay. But with that said, we all know why you guys are here. You guys are looking for good, credible Forex content that can help improve your ability as a trader and help put a little bit extra money in your pocket, especially in these troubling times. The prices going up, gas prices up. Every extra red penny counts. Okay. So let's go ahead and break down this Forex pair. All right. So as we can see, let me put my lines back up. I don't know where they went to. We're making green this morning. Usually I like to keep my lines red. Okay, so before we get to breaking down the technical analysis, at Black Forex, we like to talk about what's going on with the currencies respectively, okay? Now, CAD is kind of, like I said, it's been one of our currencies we can kind of classify as lukewarm, where it's right there in the middle. It's not strong, it's not weak, or any type of news events, economic news event, or oil news can push it one way or another. Now, yesterday we did have some poor economic news come out about the CAD around 8:30, but we also had some positive news come out about the oil. Okay, so we're going to have to see how this plays out. We're going to have to see how this plays out, and we do have some additional news at 8:30 coming out about the CAD today. Okay, we got some additional news coming out at 8:30 today. So we're going to see how this news is also going to affect the market, coupled with the news events that we've been having going on since the beginning of this trading week. Okay, and that will decide whether the CAD will be more towards the stronger side or the weaker side. Okay. Now, as we said in previous videos concerning the USD is suffering from inflation, but and we did have some weak economic news come out in the latter part of last trading week, and we do have some economic news coming out at 10 o'clock this morning. So we're going to see how that's going to affect the markets. And then last week we did have the Federal Reserve increase interest rate from 25 to 50%. Now, we are getting reports from several different business news outlets and several different news outlets in general saying that the Federal Reserve is about to take in a very, very, very aggressive stance against this inflation. So we could see another increase in the interest rate. If I was a betting man, I think they're going to take it as high as 75%, which is going to be pretty high, but we got to get these prices down. We got to get these prices under control. Okay? So we'll be in the situation with the USD is this: if these economic policies in place that they're trying to put in place to combat inflation and increasing the interest rate that increasing the interest rate that they're doing to combat inflation does start to combat inflation with speed and aggressiveness, then we will see a USD becomes very aggressively strong. If the combat and inflation from the economic policies and increasing interest rate is moving very slow or is not combating the inflation at a very aggressive pace, then we will start to see uncertainty come around the USD. People will start to become fearful of it, and we'll start to see FUDs around the USD, which is fear, uncertainty, and doubt, and we'll see the USD become much weaker than what it currently is. Okay. So with that being said, let's go ahead and break down what's going on the charts, okay? So for some time since about January to about mid-March, so we could safely say about 40 to 45 days plus, we were in this range between these two price points that's highlighted by the green lines, with this being the upper extreme and lower extreme. And we did have some breaks in these extremes where, as I said, this new high point was almost making like a new higher extreme, was making a new higher extreme. But we eventually did break towards the downside. Once we had some good economic news during this time period come out about the CAD, it did started to increase strength, coupled with also with the how aggressive oil prices was moving up. That did increase the Canadian dollar strength. But now we're looking like we're in a situation where we're going to be looking like we're going towards the upside, and this is more so due to the fact of what's going on with the USD potentially becoming stronger based on what is being talked about to combat the inflation hanging over the American economy. Okay, but as I stated, we are going to have to see what's going to happen around 8:30 to see what's going to happen with the CAD news to see which way it's going to get pushed. Okay, so basically, we're in a situation where we could go up as high as here or here before we start to range out, and we can possibly come back down again, especially if oil prices continue to increase, because that will artificially increase the strength of CAD. Okay, so we may push up as high as here before it ranges out, goes down, or push up as high as here before we start to range out and continue to go down. Now, the only way we can have truly price turnover is over several different factors. If the economic policies in place and the inflation, increasing the interest rate to combat inflation, does cause the USD to gain strength, is going to gain it very aggressively. And if the Canadian news comes out poor, very poor, and the oil prices are starting to get regulated and controlled a lot better than what they are, then we will start to see moves heading towards the long side. Okay, we will see a turnover in price. But unless those things happen, what we're going to do is we're going to have some retracement towards the long side where we may get to here before we start ranging out and going down, or we make it as here or as high as here before we get to ranging out and continuing to go down. Okay. Now this continue to go down to the short side is all while the USD is in limbo on what it's going to do. Because if its side is going to be strong because the economic policies and the interest rate are doing its job, then we're going to see an aggressive push up. If we see that it's not doing its job, it's not if we see that the economic policies in place for the USD and the increasing interest rate is not doing its job at a fast enough pace, on an aggressive pace, we will see a push down. Because basically Canada is in the middle, but leaning towards the strong when there's good news, leaning towards the weak when it's the other. So it has really no type of longevity, no past longevity solidified strength. It's been going either way really since the beginning of this year. Okay, so what's going to really dictate what's going to cause this chart to move to the long side or the short side is going to be what is going on with the USD. But as of now, we'll probably get up to as high as here or high as here before we start to range out and come back down. But if we do get a price turnover, what we'll do is see what you called a U shape, when we'll start to get probably shaky around here, have a slight push down, and then start to come up. But for the moment, it looks like there's a possibility too that we may just range out like this. And if we continue to range out for long, that is more potential price turnover, because you do need a range to make a U shape. So it has to range, 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 range. And you'll just see a slightly pick up in the range. You'll start to see more channeling and range in this area before it continues to go up. So we may range out for some time, or we may have an aggressive push up to this area here and here before we range out and come down. So those are the three scenarios that can happen with the chart going into this latter part of this trading week and the rest of the remaining weeks to come. Hope this information was helpful for you guys. Happy trading.